Welcome to Crosstalk Solutions. My name's Chris, and this is my almost 50,000 subscriber live stream. Actually, I forgot I didn't turn my lights on. 1 second. Gotta love Philips Hue lighting. Alright, turn it on. Different mode. Oh, there we go. That looks a lot better. Alright, thanks for bearing with me. It's been a while since I've done a live stream. So hope you guys can join. No one watching so far, but hopefully people will start joining any moment. So let's take a look at where I am on subscribers. Here we can see I am at 49,853 subscribers. And I have been steadily adding subscribers at about 100 per day. So I'm probably going to hit 50,000 on Saturday night or Sunday morning, somewhere in that time frame. So thank you guys. Thank you everyone. Let me do my sincere full face camera. Thank you guys so much for being subscribers to Crosstalk Solutions. I really appreciate it. And yeah, shoot, without you guys I couldn't have gotten to this many subscribers. So again, thank you so much for that. So today we're going to do a few things. I want to do a little bit of Q&A like I usually do on these live streams. I also wanted to sort of talk about the channel and where we're going in 2018 and beyond, you know, 50,000 subscribers and beyond, some ideas that I have for the channel, some things that I'd like to do. I'd also love to solicit feedback from you guys about anything like that. Oh, did I not change the title on the live stream? I don't think I did. Okay, here we go. Almost 50K subs. All right, let's see if I can save that. Do I save that? How does that save? All right, I changed the title on the the last live stream I did was my holiday gift guide, and so now I've changed the title. Hopefully that that saves, and then it doesn't say holiday gift guide anymore. I should, thank you, McDuff001. I should have a 50,000 subscriber party. Let me pop into this view so we can see. Oh, where's my OBS? There we go. So we can see what everyone is saying. Fixed title, yes, Matheson, thank you. I did fix the title, and yeah, sorry about that. Like I said, I'm new to live stream. I've still only done live streaming for, this is maybe my 10th live stream, but not even that many, maybe 12th, so not too many. And oh, it worked once I refreshed. Wonderful. Well, thank you guys. And thank you so much for the kind wishes. Hello, everyone from Denmark and Sweden. I get a lot of people from both Denmark and Sweden watching the channel, so thank you guys so much for that. Okay, so let's see. How are the Sangoma videos going? I'm done with the Sangoma videos. I finished that project for Sangoma, and actually I have another project for Sangoma that I'm going to hopefully be hopping on here in a month or two. So we will see. Zach Cochran, hello, hey from Alabama. Love the videos. Thank you so much. Thomas, keep up the videos. They're very helpful. Hi from England. All right. Thank you guys. I appreciate it so much. So one thing that I did want to say, let me bring up my notes because I don't want to forget anything. On this live stream, super chats are enabled. So if you guys have a question that you absolutely want to get answered, hit that super chat button. You can donate, I think it's anywhere from $2 to as much as you want. Maybe it's $1. I don't know what the minimum is. I've never done it myself. But you can donate it, and if you do a super chat, I will absolutely stop to answer your question. Otherwise, you know, sometimes the questions and the chat goes by so fast that I can't see it. A little bit different about today's live stream, though. All of the proceeds that I receive from super chats, I'm going to be donating to... Oops, put it on this view, to a worthy cause. I'm going to be donating any super chats that I receive today to the Pi-hole project. So this is a really good project. I haven't done any videos on Pi-hole, strictly because I know Willie, for instance, you guys know Willie Howe. Willie had his YouTube channel demonetized when he was doing videos on ad blocking, and so I don't want to do any videos that could potentially get my channel demonetized, so I probably won't do any videos on how to set up or configure the Pi-hole, but it is a great project, and any super chats that you guys do to me, I will match in my donation to the Pi-hole project, because it is such a good project. If you guys are interested in, you know, whole network or whole LAN ad blocking using DNS, this is a really good project. And I mean, look at the interface. This is a free download, and look at the interface they give you. It's really nice. Lots of statistics, lots of settings. You can add your own blacklists for ads and malware and whatever you want. So it's a really great project. I know that Tom over at Lawrence Tech just did a video on Pi-hole. I think it was this week or last week. And so if you guys are interested in how to install it, he did it on Debian, not on a Raspberry Pi, but it's basically the same thing. So yeah, any super chats, I will donate to the Pi-hole project, and I will match the whatever donations I receive. Okay, can you run it in a Pi Zero? That's a good question. I don't see why not. It might be because DNS is very, very lightweight. So I don't see why you wouldn't be able to run it in a Pi Zero. I have a Pi Zero sitting around here somewhere, but the networking on the Pi Zero is such a pain in the butt. I mean, you might as well just get a Raspberry Pi 3 because that works very, very well. I actually have it. I don't know if it'll stretch all the way over. Can I stretch this all the way over? Can you guys see that? Oh, just off the corner of the screen. So this is what I've got it running on. Just a tiny little Raspberry Pi. I'm even running it over wireless, and it's working fine. So there we go. This is my Raspberry Pi Pi-hole that I set up, and I just sort of keep it off to the side, and I work in it. It works great. You can see in the last 24 hours, 12,000 queries, 1,370 ad queries blocked, and basically, yes, better with a network port. I agree. Queries blocked. Granted, I'm just testing right now. I eventually would like to set this up in like a virtual server and have multiple, you know, Pi-hole DNS servers set up. So queries blocked. 11.2% of the DNS requests are for ads. So yeah, that's anyways. All right, so we have our first super chat from John's Wave Runner EX Sport. $2 super chat. I better write these down so that I can add them up and match them. I want to give you 1,000 super chat, but I need some time to earn for you. $1,000 super chat is probably more than I would be able to probably more than I would be able to match at the moment. So while I do appreciate it, let's keep it to a reasonable level. Okay, so we got $2. I'm going to write all these down as they come in. Okay, so yeah, less than 15 minutes. So someone said 15 minutes set up and go. It's actually less than 15 minutes. Yeah. All right, so we got some questions coming in. I'll answer a couple questions. I want to get onto a couple of other things. But what do you think about other VoIP vendors like Grandstream? So Grandstream makes decent, cost-effective phones, but their PBX, in my opinion, is very sort of convoluted. It's not a... I don't know. I've worked with a lot of different phone systems, and theirs is one of the more confusing phone systems that I've ever, you know, put my hands on. So I'm not a fan of the Grandstream PBX. They also have now routers and access points and stuff, which I don't. I haven't played with yet. I know Willie, who's on the stream, I believe. Willie has some videos coming out, or maybe already came out about. The Grandstream access points and whatnot. So check out Willie Howe's channel. If you guys aren't subscribed to Willie Howe's channel, go ahead and get subscribed. We're also planning the next live stream is going to be myself and Willie live streaming together yet again. So stay tuned for that. We're tentatively planning on February 9th for that live stream. So yeah, okay. Mark. Hey, Mark. Good to see you. I would like to block annoying ads that prevent you from reading content, but like well-behaved ads that pertain to my interest. Yeah, I know that's a tough one. You're going to have to get into some machine learning or something to, to figure out how to get that working. I don't know how that would be done, but okay. Do you see Ubiquiti launching a new, more powerful version of the USG in the short term? No. So typically when Ubiquiti is going to release new hardware, it shows up on the beta store first. So there's been nothing that I know of on the Ubiquiti beta store, and so I would have to say no. I don't know of any new type USG coming anytime soon. Why do my posts not show up on your feed? I have no idea. I mean, I'm seeing your post right now. I see you. You just posted something right there. Okay, so some channel stuff that I wanted to talk about. So I'm hitting 50,000 subscribers, and as we hit 2018, I wanted to, you start getting up in that level of subscribers, and there's, sort of doors start opening for you. People start sending you, equipment and whatnot. And so I want to help to try to not monetize the subscribers, but basically provide better and more quality content and just more content for YouTube in general. And so one of the things that I'm going to throw out there, and I may do a full separate video on this. I'm going to announce it here and then see what comes of it. If nothing comes of it, I may do a separate video specifically on this subject. But I would like to throw out there that I'm interested in speaking with you if you are interested in becoming a YouTube content creator. So starting from zero and then working your way up is tough, right? It takes a long time. I hit 50,000 subscribers this, or I'm going to hit 50,000 subscribers this weekend most likely, and that took me well over 2 years to do. It's been almost 2.5 years to hit that level. And that's a lot of time and effort. I think the total number of videos on my channel it's somewhere above 250 videos that I've released at this point. Each one of those videos takes anywhere from probably 3 to 10 hours to create and produce. So it's a heck of a lot of work to put into something, especially when you're just starting and you're just starting to grow your audience. So I'd like to put a call out there. If anyone is interested in becoming a content creator and would like to join Crosstalk Solutions, here's the way that it works, right? So basically, if you are comfortable on camera, you've got a good personality, you have a good method of explaining technical concepts, especially to people that are beginners and might not know exactly what you're talking about, that's the type of person I'm looking for. You must be able to, of course, record and light and edit your own videos. I mean, the quality of the videos are, I mean, my first videos were crap, right? It was just done with this exact webcam. This I don't even think I had an HD webcam when I first started. I had an old Logitech webcam. I upgraded to this one, which is the C920, and then eventually I got a DSLR, which is what I do all of my videos with today. So the quality of the video doesn't matter so much, but the content has to be there. And you have to be able to of course edit the videos and then send them my way for posting on the channel or potentially posting on ancillary Crosstalk channels that we might create. Okay, so depending on the content that we're looking to do. So this is something that's a good opportunity for perhaps people that are doing a lot of side work and you're eyeing, maybe jumping out as a consultant on your own. Maybe you've got a full-time position, but you've got some time after hours that you can work on consulting gigs, or you already do side work, something like that. Or if you are currently a consultant and you're just looking to, boost your business, stuff like that. The way that it works is essentially the videos that are created for the channel, and so for instance, you guys see that I have Andy doing some videos. Andy does stuff on the PF Sense side. I'm looking for people that can do videos on technical subjects that I'm not an expert in, right? So like I do the voice over IP stuff, Ubiquiti stuff. I've got those covered. Okay, but if you are an expert in Zen virtualization, or if you're an expert in we already have PF Sense with Andy, or WordPress, or who knows what, just something that would be interesting. It doesn't matter how niche the subject is, but something that would be interesting to people that are watching, Crosstalk or watching YouTube. I'm interested in speaking with you to see how we can maybe work something out where I can create a second channel, Crosstalk, HTTP channel, right, where we talk about all website things, WordPress and whatever, that type of thing, or keep it on the main channel. I don't know. As I said, I'm just sort of throwing this out there to see what I get, and basically the benefits that you would get from going with me, working with me, as opposed to just trying to start something on your own, is that you've got this built-in audience already. You've got 50,000 people that could potentially be looking at your videos right off the bat, including all of the SEO and stuff that comes along with that. Like, there's 50,000 subscribers, but given the activity on my videos, anytime I post something, just based on the activity of previous videos, it becomes more popular in like recommended videos on the side and stuff like that. Basically, if you're doing WordPress videos for me, anyone that comes to Crosstalk and now says, hey, I saw that video you did on WordPress, I'd like to hire you to do some WordPress work. Well then, as a consultant, I can't do that work, so that then goes to you, right? So you're basically putting out these videos to self-promote yourself. Self-promote yourself. You're putting out these videos to self-promote. Okay, so that's the type of benefit to you on top of the built-in audience. And then, of course, you can make extra money on the side, supplementing your side income, or if you're already a consultant or something like that, it can help towards your bottom line. So if you guys know of anyone that would be interested in something like that, or if you yourself are interested in something like that, then please get in touch with me. I'd love to talk to you and just start exploring some options in that area. Okay, so I missed a super chat. Zach Carter. Zach, good to see you. $5 super chat. $5. I will write that down. Hey, you closed your phone line down for the stream. Reply to my ticket, Chris. I think we've replied to all your tickets. Zach, I believe pretty sure you're taken care of. If you're not, let me know. Just write in another ticket. Okay. So thank you, Zach, for the $5 super chat. I will match that, and we will be donating all of this to the Pi-hole project today. Okay, so let me scroll through some of these questions since I went on that long tirade. Chris, have you had a chance to get to look at the new EdgeRouter 4? I have not yet. So you're going to outsource your videos? No. Okay, so let me make something very clear. I am not outsourcing my videos. I will continue to do content on YouTube. My goal for 2018 is 2 videos per week, possibly 3, right? So I want to do 2 to 3 videos per week personally all throughout 2018. What I'm looking for is additional videos. I want to supplement the content with more areas of expertise that I'm not necessarily the expert in. It helps me learn, and it helps you learn, and it has the benefit of helping, if anyone wants to hire you to help with their own stuff. Okay, so just got on board with Pi-hole after watching Lawrence Systems' video. My unified cloud key has more hits on the top domains than anything else. I'm assuming that's normal. Ubiquiti stuff phones home a lot, right? Especially if you have like a cloud-hosted controller, it's going to be hitting Ubiquiti a lot. Because keep in mind that your cloud-hosted controller is probably connected to your Ubiquiti cloud single sign-on. You log in with Ubiquiti, and so it's checking in with that constantly. Okay, so I am ready for content creator, but my English is not good. Well, again, that's, one of the things about being an effective communicator on YouTube is that you have to be, you certainly have to be well-spoken, but it doesn't also necessarily have to be English, right? There's a lot of, non-English speaking, a lot of opportunity for non-English speaking videos on YouTube. I've heard a lot about especially like Spanish language videos on MikroTik and stuff like that. There's a pretty good shortage of that type of stuff on YouTube. I've heard about it through my comments throughout the years. Okay, let's see. Has anything changed with the new unified controller that affects your guest Wi-Fi setup on a USG/UAP? Not that I know of. Yep, I haven't noticed anything. So I'm running 5.6.22 on my unified controller. I have a USG and I have a guest network on its own VLAN, and nothing has been affected as of 5.6.22. Now I believe that 5.6.29 is still the latest stable version. If that is, if there's a problem with that, I don't know yet because I haven't tried out that version yet. Okay, I have a Logitech 920 as well. I was wondering what you use for recording. I use OBS right now. So for recording, I just use my Canon DSLR, and I use Audacity, or I use my screen sharing program, which is Faststone, F-A-S-T-S-T-O-N-E, Faststone Screen Capture. That records my good mic, and then my camera records the good video, and then I string everything together in Adobe Premiere. Can you do a video on the stun communication fail in Unify? I already forwarded on DigitalOcean. I've restarted it multiple times. So that's that would be an interesting video. The problem with that is that it seems that the fix, the quote-unquote fix for the stun issue, varies widely between all sorts of different people. I've seen a whole bunch of people that say, hey, this worked for me, but it didn't work for other people. I actually am currently suffering from that problem again. I didn't update my version. Everything was working fine. So I didn't update my version, but I updated the firmware on all of my devices, and I have that stun error again. So go figure. I don't know. Okay, can you do some videos on service provider networks, things like MPLS and PPOE? That would be PPPoE. That would be nice. That type of stuff requires me to have access to customer systems that are utilizing those technologies, and if I run across it, I will. But typically, I don't work with MPLS too much. I stick with more of the SMB side, and SMB is not always going to be like MPLS connected. Okay, so let's see. Good. If you were to outsource your video, you would have lost me as a viewer. No, I'm not looking to outsource my videos. I'm absolutely doing all the same videos. I'm hoping that Andy will step up and do some more videos as well. His videos on PFSense and VC Dial, however you say it, those have been great. Okay, so let's see. Were you able to get a resolution to ring groups in FreePBX not showing missed calls when answered elsewhere? Oh. Was I ever able to get a resolution to that? I don't think so. So we have one client of ours that's a real problem for them, and the last that we checked, which I think was about 2 or 3 months ago, that had not been resolved yet. So the answer, I guess, is no. Hey Chris, just want to let you know that your videos have been a lot of help. Keep it up. Linus from Sweden. Thank you, Linus. I appreciate that. Would the Ubiquiti AC light be sufficient for a 1,500 square foot, 100-year-old house with thick hardwood floors and walls? The hardwood's tough, so that's tough to say. The only thing I can recommend is try it, throw it in, see if it works. If you need to add more coverage, add more coverage. Let's see. I know you did a video on USG a while back, and I think we recall you saying you were going to do another based on newer firmware. Did you do one and I missed it, or is it planned? So I did a video on port forwarding that was on an older version of firmware. I subsequently came out with a what's new in UniFi 5.6 video, which was the newer stuff. So check that one out. That might be the one that you missed. Okay, so great work. Appreciate the videos. How about spending more time on VPN with UniFi? That's a great idea. I do have in the pipeline some VPN on UniFi videos. I'm interested in who watches your channel, whether more professionals or more home users. Okay, cool. Thank you. Let's see. Hi from Denmark. Hey, Klaus. Thank you. Okay, so another thing that I want to throw out there. So I talked about the possibility for additional content creators that I'd love to speak with for the channel. Another thing that I would love to feature on the channel is tours of real-world environments. So I would like to speak to wireless ISPs specifically. Okay, so if you guys know of or run a wireless ISP, and you would be interested in sharing how you're doing it, what equipment you're using, what do you use for management of the devices, what do you use for software, what do you use for support, how are you supporting all of your wireless ISP customers, that type of stuff is very valuable information that I think would make for great content on the channel. People love real-world examples, and I don't know if it involves me traveling out to where you are to actually look at your towers and talk to you in person, or if it's something that we can just do over Skype or whatever. But I am really, really interested in getting some examples of real-world wireless ISP, in particular, deployments, because I want to start doing more. I want to start doing more wireless ISP stuff on the channel in 2018. Reason being is I personally believe that the wireless ISP business is going to take off, I think, in 2018 more than it ever has before, primarily due to the turbulence, vis-a-vis net neutrality and stuff like that. So I think that you're going to see a lot of local communities getting together to implement wireless ISPs. I think you're going to see a lot of just more people getting into the wireless ISP business. So I think it's going to become more popular than ever, and I want to start featuring that on the channel. Okay, so previously you talked about the edge router light being superior to the USG. However, a recent video of yours showed the USG being in use. Which do you prefer today? I prefer whichever device is best for the situation I'm installing it into. If you have a very vanilla network, minimal VLANs, not any sort of complex routing or firewall needs, then the USG and the USG Pro, those devices are going to work just fine. But if you have more enhanced needs, then the edge routers are superior. Zach Carter, could I have you come out to my house to do a video on setting up a home Unify equipment? No. No, you can't. Thanks for the $5 super chat again, Zach, but absolutely not. If I was going to do videos on home Unify setups, I'll just do them here at home. So, no. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so hello from Norway. Your channel is amazing. Thank you. I hope it's not too cold in Norway right now. Yeah, multiple external IPs on USG is a pain. You know, the other thing that really bugs me about the USG is it's not easy to view DHCP leases on the USG. I wish there was just a show me all the DHCP leases button that you could press. That would be wonderful. Okay, so I think those are all of the only things that I wanted to actually discuss. All right, let's get into some Q&A. So I have once again marked up a bunch of questions that I think are good questions that I would like to answer. So these are people that commented on YouTube, and basically I just want to answer these questions on this live stream. So we're going to start out with Everardo Castellon. I think I said that right. Okay, so this is on my Unify Guest Wi-Fi with VLANs video. Good day. Regarding the VLAN 99 where you created it in a switch, could you explain a little bit more about the VLAN? So I think the question that he was asking was, in this video that he's referring to, Unify Guest Wi-Fi, I created a VLAN 99, and that was my guest Wi-Fi VLAN. So in order to do that in Unify, you first have to create a new network. You have to create a guest network in the networking settings, and then once you have that network assigned to a VLAN with all the appropriate IP addressing, in my case I used 192.168.99.x, given that's the VLAN 99. Once those are all set up with your DHCP options and everything, you then flip over to the wireless network, and then you can set it up as a guest network, client isolated or bandwidth throttled, whatever you want to do, and then set it as VLAN 99 there. Okay, so hey, Zach, again, Zach's killing it with the super chats today. Another $2 from Zach Carter. Thank you very much. And again, any super chats that you guys give me, I am writing them down. I'm going to total it up at the end, and then I will match that and donate everything to the Pi-hole project. Okay, so let's see. Hi Chris, can you give us some quick idea on setting up a DMZ on Unify? Ugh. Honestly, if I was going to do a DMZ in Unify, I would probably just utilize the secondary LAN port for that. Wait, is that work as a secondary LAN? It used to be labeled VoIP, and then they started labeling it WAN 2. I don't remember if it's now considered a... I don't remember now if you can create that as a second LAN port or not. Willie, I think, is on the channel. He would know. Willie, if you're in the chat, can you use the third port on the USG as a secondary LAN port yet, or no? If the answer is no, I would probably just go with like an edge router and do it that way. You know, if you want a true DMZ, you want to just physically segment it off as its own separate LAN. You could do it as a VLAN, I guess. It doesn't really make that much difference. But the firewall rules in edge router are superior, in my opinion, for something like that. Okay. Let's see. Now, next question. Okay, so hi, Chris from Panama. All right. First of all, thanks a lot for your videos on YouTube. Really appreciate it. Now, I became a fan of Ubiquiti Unify, and I've implemented a lot of their solutions on client companies. I was just wondering if exists some tool on EdgeRouter or an app that can make traffic analysis, because I'm using EdgeRouter X like a bandwidth balancer, and my client needs to know which services are more reliable or stable than the other. Any help or suggestion is appreciated, and again, thanks. So for something like that, if you wanted to do monitoring on the edge router, I would get, they're not going to be able to do it very well from within the edge router. What I would probably do is set up an internal, you know, like a Raspberry Pi or just a small server running Cacti, and then use SNMP to have Cacti monitor the interfaces of the edge router, right? That way you get really nice, like MRTG style, graphs that can show you how much traffic is going through each of your different connections, and then if one of the connections drops or something like that, you'll see a decrease in the traffic on the MRTG graph. So I really like Cacti a lot. I don't think I've ever done a video on Cacti, but it is a great it's a great little product, another really good and worthy, deserving open source project out there. Okay, Gabriel Martineau, French or Canadian, or French-Canadian. Each one of our apartments has its own SSID, and it's through Unify. Then we get emailed our passwords. Curious how you would set that up. So each one of our apartment has its own SSID, and it's through Unify. Then we get emailed our passwords. So the way that you would have to set that up is likely you would have to make every single apartment its own site in Unify. Okay, so because each individual Unify site can only have up to 4 SSIDs. So if you had an apartment complex where you wanted to give a separate SSID to every single, if you wanted to give a separate SSID to every single apartment unit, you'd have to do it with different sites. But then, of course, how are you? Then you're also, I guess you can't really do different sites, because then you're limiting it down to, you know, which specific access points. You have to assign specific access points to the specific site. So maybe that wouldn't work. Yeah, that's a really great question. And honestly, so I've had the question of how do you wire up apartments in the past? And to me, and what I've told people in the past, the best way that I know of to set up an apartment complex with proper networking is to hardwire everything, right? And I know that's a really easy thing to say, oh, just hardwire it, you know. But think about it for a second. If you hardwire, if let's say you used VLANs and like an edge router, or an edge switches and edge router in VLANs, what I would do is hardwire everything so that every apartment has one Cat5 jack on the wall that they can then plug in their own, you know, Soho wireless router into that jack. Basically, they each get their own, you know, /24 or smaller network that pipes into that single Cat5 jack in their apartment, or multiple, I don't know, whatever. You don't have to do it as a single jack. So the reason that would work best, in my opinion, is because then, number one, you're never having to troubleshoot Wi-Fi, right? So all of your users, all of the apartment owners have to bring their own wireless, right? And then it's on them, right? You're giving them an IP address out of the wall. It's up to them what they do with it and what wireless devices they put in place. And then, of course, you know, dealing with the interference and all that. It just sort of takes all of that management out of it. Then you could have a sort of community-wide Wi-Fi with like mesh APs or something outside the community that's more of an open Wi-Fi or something like that. Anyway, so that's probably what I would do with an apartment setup, just because it makes the most sense to me, and it's also the most secure. Here's the other problem with apartment-wide Wi-Fi is you have to pick whether you're going to guest isolate or not. Okay, so if you had an apartment complex and you wanted to provide wireless for all of the tenants in your apartment complex, are you going to do client isolation? Well, if you do client isolation, now guess what? You've created a problem. Because let's say you are on your iPhone and you want to stream something to a Chromecast. Guess what? You're client isolated. You can't do that. If you're on a wireless laptop and you want to print something on a wireless printer, guess what? You can't do that because you're client isolated, right? So that really hoses people's devices in this day and age. Whereas if you leave it open, you can then do that sort of communication, but then your neighbors can also get onto your devices, right? So you're leaving it open and it's insecure. So again, if you have just a single Cat5 jack in every apartment that is a separate segregated VLAN for that apartment, it makes the most sense to me. What do you guys think about that? Would captive portal not work for the apartment scenario via SSIDs and sites? So captive portals can work, but I would want something more robust for that than the captive portal that is built into Unify. So for instance, there's a captive portal that I've used in the past called First Spot. First Spot is phenomenal. They have a lot of really great, it's not only wireless captive portal, but also wired captive portal. And it allows you to do all sorts of fancy things, like if someone's purchasing a package, it can have, it can be for up to X number of devices and stuff. So they have a lot of features in there for apartment complexes and whatnot. The downside is it's expensive. You got to have your own server to run it. That server is a proxy in the network, so you've now created a point of failure in the network that you're probably going to want to account for. Add some redundancy in there. So, and plus just the administration of the First Spot itself. It's another way to go. I wouldn't do the Unify captive portal stuff. I'm not a fan of Unify's captive portal stuff, honestly. All right, I missed a couple of these super chats. So $5 from Gabriel, another 2 from Zach. Zach says, "Hey Willie, Howe, check your direct messages." So Willie, check your direct messages. Zach's trying to get a hold of you. Okay. Let me go on to the next question here. Okay, so this is a question on the Unify Enterprise networking video. This is where I did fiber links between a bunch of 48-port switches, and I had a USG Pro? Yeah, USG Pro in the mix, I believe. Okay, so impressive, really clear concept, but what if a US48 breaks down? Can you send one to the site and they swap it, maintaining the wiring? Will it be adopted and get the same configuration from the management server? That would be cool. In any case, I love the Unify setup. Thanks for the video. Okay, so this is a really interesting question because this actually happened, right? So we did that. I did that Unify Enterprise networking video, of which there were 6 total US 48 500 watt Unify switches, 48-port Unify switches. Probably about 6 or 9 months after they did the installation. This was installed in a retirement home in Houston, Texas. About 6 to 9 months after they did the installation, one of those switches went out. Okay, so what we did initially is we built enough capacity so that if any one switch went out in any one area, they would be able to, load everything onto the other switch and be fine, much like we also did in San Francisco with the San Francisco Conference Center, South San Francisco Conference Center setup. What we ended up doing in the retirement home, though, is we pulled out the broken switch. Actually, we bought a brand new switch, so we just replaced it, because Ubiquiti's RMA process takes like at least like 3 weeks to get a replacement. So we just bought a new switch, we put that in place, and then we RMA'd the bad switch, and then when the RMA'd bad switch came back, that's just now a spare. Okay, so that's kind of how I approach the Ubiquiti stuff, especially in an enterprise deployment. When you're going up against someone like Cisco or even like HP switches, right? The Unify switches are so much more cost effective that you can throw in a spare, and you're typically still going to be underneath the cost of the competitors. So that's how I would handle that, and that's how we did handle it. One of them went bad. We bought a brand new one, and then we shipped that one back as an RMA. When it came back, that is now the spare unit. Excuse me for a second. I'm going to take a little drink here. Andrew Knows Tech. When will you try Ubiquiti's Fiber GPON? Thank you for the $2 super chat, Andrew. I appreciate that. That's a good question. I've looked at it. I've considered buying some of the GPON stuff, but I haven't gotten up to the point where I'm doing enough WISP stuff that it has made sense for me to make an investment in the GPON stuff to do videos on yet. Okay, and I could potentially ask Ubiquiti if they could send me some of the GPON stuff, but they've already sent me so much equipment that I haven't yet done videos on, coming soon by the way, that I want to get through all of the equipment that I have. I've got a full Cambium Networks point-to-multipoint ePMP 2000 setup that's been sitting outside my window here for 2 months, set up, that I haven't done a video on yet. I got to get that out of the way first, and then I've got probably 10 different Ubiquiti access points in point-to-point and point-multipoint that are brand new, sitting in my closet, that I have, that are coming after the Cambium Networks project. So again, it's just a matter of the time that it takes to get to that kind of stuff. And so once I get through all of this, I will start looking at what other equipment I can source to do additional videos on. Okay. Thank you for the super chat. Let's go ahead and go to the next question. Okay, so this was on my complete ant miner overview video where I did a video on ant mining. I did that video and I put it out right before the whole Bitcoin market did a serious crash. It dropped about 40% in valuation over the course of the last couple weeks. So hopefully no one lost too much in that. When it dropped very, very low, I actually bought more Bitcoin. I went in and I got a whole bunch more Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum, expecting that eventually that will correct itself and start heading back up. It probably won't ever get as high as it was, or at least not for a long time, but the market did sort of check itself, and we are in the midst of that at the moment. Okay, so Fataugi, I don't know, asks, keep in mind, in the Northeast, these are great little space heaters that put off a ton of heat. I'm running an old S5 that I picked up used, and it heats a cold part of my basement for essentially free. It generates enough coin to pay for the electric, and when I picked it up last year, used for $140, including the power supply. Only a 750 watt needed for the older model. So I just singled out that comment because I thought that was a really interesting idea. Fat Augie is over here using the ant miner, or an older ant miner, to heat a part of his basement, and then using the proceeds from that ant miner to pay for itself, basically. He's probably breaking even. But hey, listen, that's smart. That's a good way to you know, to use an old ant miner. The noise, though, I mean, the noise of these things is so gnarly. I don't know. You know, I don't know if I'd want that in. Certainly not in my basement. So Peter says, this is a great question from Peter Kaluch. Kaluch? I work for a company having tens of thousands of users worldwide. Can you imagine you would use Ubiquiti switches, or would you rather use Cisco? Excellent question. If you're asking me today, then I would have to say not Ubiquiti, okay? Because when you have that many switches, you need a centralized management platform, and Ubiquiti's centralized management platform, which is UNMS, is not ready for that level yet. Okay, so they're getting there. I've played around with UNMS a little bit. I did one video on it. I'm going to do more videos on it. But yeah, today, no, I would not standardize on Ubiquiti edge switches or otherwise for that size of a deployment. Okay, so let's see. Hey, Chris, Alfie says, just watch your Pi video. As I can tell, your problem with underscores in the SSID is just like using spaces in the SSID. It can be corrected by using single quotes inside the speech marks. Okay, maybe that's something that I would have to try out. Absolutely. All right, Gabe, again, $5 super chat. Thank you. I have a 60 apartment build that I have to do. They already have 20 access points across the apartments. I think I should go more. I would have to run cable. So that's always the problem, isn't it? Running cable. Running cable is a serious expense, especially if you're trying to retrofit an old 60-unit apartment building. I had a deal out here on the Oregon coast, which was about that same size. It was 2 buildings right next to each other. And I think there were a total of about the same amount. It was about 50, 60, maybe 70 units. And I came in with a quote to, and I basically told them what I explained to you guys earlier about the, you know, running VLANs off of wired switches, and then just let each apartment complex deal with their own equipment inside the complex. And eventually they didn't want to do that because the wiring of the buildings was just too cost prohibitive. And I don't want to get into a situation where I'm responsible for the Wi-Fi in an apartment complex where they're not technical and they're going to be calling me at all hours of the day because, you know, Granny Joe Mama is not able to get, you know, Jeopardy on her Netflix or something, right? I don't want to be responsible for that. So that's what I'm saying. Do it right, set it up for success, and if a client is cheaping out and they don't want to do it the right way, walk away from that project. All right, so another $2 super chat from Zach. Can you please do a setup tour? I have one in the works, Zach. I'm hoping to get it out next week, maybe the following week, where I talk about all of the stuff that I use for doing videos. I'm writing all these down. Andrew Knows Tech, $5 super chat. Thank you so much for that, Andrew. Have you used Megapath ISP for any installs? And how were they to work with? I've not used Megapath, although I did. It's funny you mentioned that because I did just this week speak with a client that is. I don't remember if they're using Megapath or they got a Megapath quote. Regardless, though, I think Megapath is probably fine because they're not a fly-by-night provider. They've been around for a long time. Their rates seem good. So yeah, I think they're probably fine, although I have not personally worked with them myself. Okay, how many hours do you usually work in a week? From Timo D. Jadomika. That's a good question. I probably work anywhere from, I mean, not a ton, probably 50. I would say I probably put in about 50 hours a week, not much more than a normal 40-hour work week. I work every single day from around 9 a.m. until 4 p.m., and I usually don't take a lunch, so that's just straight through 9 to 4. And then probably 2 or 3, sometimes 4 nights a week, after I put my kids to bed, I go back to work at around 9, and then I work until, you know, midnight or 1, and then rinse and repeat. So, yeah, so probably, I don't know. You guys can do the math on the hours. I'm not going to do math here. Zach, quit giving out your phone number on a live stream, buddy. Don't do that. Okay. I have a question, Unify or MikroTik? Well, I'm more partial to Unify, but there are a lot of MikroTik fans out there. Okay, let's do another question. Dathan Valdez asks, this is on my Corsair Bulldog. I bought this case too for the same price from Newegg. I love it. I installed a 7700K 2 terabyte FireCuda 16 Corsair Dominator 3000 megahertz RAM and a GTX 1080. 4K gaming is amazing. So that's an awesome, awesome setup. That's actually, I was gonna bring this up because I want to talk about the Corsair Bulldog. I'm very happy with that case, and I think I've decided what I'm gonna do with it. I'm gonna build it into a Zen server. So I'll be doing some videos on that in the future. But my setup will be pretty similar to what Dalvan did here, where I would like to get an i7 7700K and 32 gigs of RAM. I don't know if it has to be 3000 megahertz RAM. I probably don't need RAM that's that fast, and I certainly don't need a GTX 1080 for a Zen server, but I'll put something in there along those lines. So that's what I would like to do with that Corsair Bulldog. It's going to become my silent Zen server. JK, do you do much SonicWall stuff? No, I hate SonicWall firewalls. They're my least favorite firewalls of all time. Okay. Speaking of, I had a question for you guys. I started to research this a little bit, and then I didn't really get a chance to finish the research. So the i7 7700K is a 4-core processor, right? Intel recently came out with the i7 8700K, which is a 6-core processor, okay? So the difference is the Corsair Bulldog has an LGA 1151 socket for that CPU. Anywhere you look online, the i7 8700, so the 8th gen i7 8700K, it either says it's LGA 1151 or it says it's LGA 1151 version 3. Okay, so my question to you guys out there who know more about Intel chips and chipsets than I do, is the newer LGA 1151 version 3, are those chips backwards compatible to like the standard LGA 1151s? And if they are, do you lose anything by not using the the brand new chips? So if you guys know the answer to that, pop it into the comments here, because I'd love to know the answer to that question. 8700K isn't compatible with Z170 or Z270. Okay, well that certainly answers that question. The Corsair Bulldog is a Z270 chipset, so that's definitely not going to work. So I think the maximum chip that I could put in the Corsair Bulldog then looks like it's going to be an i7-7700K, which is fine because you can overclock that chip, and it has liquid cooling inside and everything. So I think that would be a great chip. And I've seen that chip go on sale twice in the last week for $280. So it's really not that expensive. The RAM is going to be probably closer to $400 for 32 gigs of RAM. Okay, so for monitoring your client's network, what are you using? Cacti, Nagios, Libre MS, or something else? So I don't really monitor client networks in that way. I'm not an MSP, right? So I do consulting. I don't really set up monitoring. If someone needed their network monitored, I would look at what needs they have, and then I would use either Cactus or Libre NMS. I do have Libre NMS set up here in my home office. I don't use it in production, but I did set up a test Libre NMS server with the intention of doing some videos on it, and I still have it set up. I just never ended up doing anything with it. Great question. Okay. Excuse me. I know there's a mute button on here. Oh, yeah, here it is. I don't think I hit it the first time. Okay, I think I'm unmuted. Sorry. Okay, so €5. Clementoso. €5. I'm just going to write that as $5 because I don't want to do any sort of currency calculations here. Do you know a fix for Macs dropping connection to a network with WPA2 Enterprise? When the Mac goes to sleep, the connection to Radius times out. Well, I'm sorry you spent $5 on that question. I don't have any clue into that because number one, I don't use WPA2 Enterprise, and I don't use Radius, and I don't use Macintosh. So I don't really know. I don't really have an answer to you for that one. But if someone else in the comments knows the answer to that question, there you go. So Zach, no, I'm not going to call you after the stream, man. I'm going to be done with work after this stream. Okay, so let's move on to the next question here. Okay, so Mustafa Goksi, I don't know how you would pronounce that. If anyone knows the phonetic pronunciation of Mustafa's last name, please let me know, because I don't know. I know you start throwing in those odd characters. I don't know what that does. Okay, so what about this scenario? This is on the Ubiquiti point-to-multipoint setup video. I have one rocket AC and two nanobeam ACs. Between the rocket and the first nanobeam, there's 10 kilometers. Between the first nanobeam and the second nanobeam, there's another 10 kilometers. Can a second nanobeam talk to the rocket using the first nanobeam as a bridge? So the answer to that question is no. In a point-to-multipoint scenario, you would want to have one main access point, and you would want that access point to have sufficient line of sight and distance coverage so that all of your stations can connect all the way back to the access point. So, you know, you could figure out something where you've got two nanos like back to back, and then use the second nano and like, you know, sort of bridge those together. But you couldn't do it in the center with one device. Like if you had to like dogleg around a building or something, you could do two access points back to back that would, you know, make that happen. We've had to do that for a couple of deployments, but by and large, what you want to do is have all of your stations directly connect to the main access point, which is then backhauled over to where you have a, you know, pretty big internet connection. Okay, Alfie Foster to, what is that? What's the L? Is that pounds? Is that 2 pounds? It's not euros. Is that the pounds symbol? 2 pounds? 2 pounds from Alfie. Thank you very much for the super chat. Here's a coffee or beer on me. Love your content. Well, thank you so much. And like I said, I will pass that coffee or beer on to the Pi-hole Project. All super chat proceeds today are going to be donated to the Pi-hole Project, and I will match all of the donations that come in for that. Okay. Foster, €2. It's pure income of Chris, sir. Please do not donate, sir. What? All right, John Rejo says, hi there, Chris. Really thanks for the Ubiquiti videos. Just awesome. Thank you so much. Ben Foster asks, will you be doing a video on an air fiber setup and config? Great question. The answer currently is no, because I don't have any air fiber devices. If I had air fiber devices to play with, I would absolutely do a video on that. But one of the things that I'm looking to do is not only figure out a way that I can, I want to be able to test some of that stuff much longer range, right? So basically essentially set up my own wireless ISP that I can use for testing. And yeah, that's in the works, but you know, that takes a lot of effort and usually a lot of cost to do something like that. So, all right, let's see. One second. I want to check my Skype-a-rooney real quickly here. Oh, Willie says his chat isn't working for YouTube. Willie got demonetized, and now it looks like they've taken away his chat too. Sorry, Willie. I've got Willie on Skype, so he and I chat quite often. Okay, let's move on to another question here. Jonathan Williams. Okay, so I brought out this question because it is a little bit of a negative Nancy question, a negative Nancy comment. But I did want to throw this out there because it's good to get all sides and all opinions, right? So Jonathan Williams writes, Ubiquiti is starting to become like all of the other greedy companies with extreme limited stock and high costs. We want cheap 10 gig, that's all. Soon to be acquired by Cisco or someone else. So how do you respond to something like that? So I think that's, you know, in the words of the dude, that's just like your opinion, man. You know, which it is. It's just his opinion. That's speculation that they would be acquired. I personally don't think that Ubiquiti is in any danger of being acquired, and I attribute their limited stock to demand. And they definitely have a supply problem. Whenever they create a new product, new device, it comes out on the market, it usually takes a couple of months before the stock has overcome the demand, and so that's kind of what you see with the limited stuff, and that's why I don't typically recommend or sell to my customers the latest and greatest Ubiquiti stuff, because it's tough to get your hands on. I know there was a problem for a while. I did that point to multipoint video using that really cool light beam, that single integrated access point, and then after I did that video, we weren't able to get our hands on any more of those access points. The one that I used for that video, I ended up selling to a client that needed one, and I never replaced it, right? So now, this is 6 months down the road, now I can get those things all day long. But for a while there, you could not get your hands on those access points. And that's the same for a lot of their hardware. I assume it'll be the same for the Edge Router 6 and Edge Router 4, as well as the Ubiquiti, what is it, the USG fiber? I forget what they call it. There's a fiber version of the USG coming out that just got taken off of the beta store, which means that it's about to become released into production, and I'm sure that thing will be terribly difficult to source for quite a while. Okay. Marsbar has started to use Air Fiber 24. Yeah, he actually, so Marsbar, Alex Marsbar and I have been direct messaging a little bit on Twitter, and he was just telling me that he's going to be starting to play with some air fibers. That's awesome. Air fibers are those are serious antennas, man. Those are fun to play with. I wish I had a pair that I could play with here. That'd be wonderful. What's your opinion on Grandstream UCM and phone hardware? It's funny, someone asked that earlier in the stream. So John, if you missed the first part of the stream, I think someone asked that question within like the first 15 minutes. So you can go back when this thing publishes and you can check out my answer on that. All right, another question from Nick L. Chris, question for you. So with the Edge router, oh, this is on my USG versus Edge router video. So with the Edge router, is it possible to have an open VPN server through the GUI rather than being handicapped by radius or point to PPTP? Those two have been exploited, whereas OpenVPN allows flexibility with security configuration. Thanks. So Nick, I don't believe you can do that right in the Edge router. What you can do, however, is simply port forward to an internal OpenVPN server, and that's probably what I would do if someone had the need to do OpenVPN. For instance, FreePBX has an open VPN server built in. It's so that phones can VPN directly into the FreePBX. We set this up for customers all the time, and all you got to do is open up the appropriate ports in the firewall. In this case, for FreePBX, it's just UDP port 1194, which I think is the default standard port for OpenVPN. You just pass that through, port forward that through whatever router you're using to the OpenVPN server, and it works great. So there you go. Okay, so in the market for SMB security video system, 8 camera NVR PoE. Any recommendations? Well, you know me, man. I'm all Ubiquiti, so I recommend Ubiquiti. There are other people have very differing opinions on security cameras. A lot of people say that the Ubiquiti stuff is too expensive for what you're getting. A lot of people like the Hikvision, however you pronounce those. Yeah. Anyways, there's the answer to that. Okay. All right, let's find another question here. Brian Hatfield, this is on my recent Raspberry Pi surveillance monitor video. Brian writes, hi Chris, love your videos. Thanks for taking time to create so much content for us all to enjoy and learn from. I'm wondering if you'd be willing to create a video talking about your company and how you started your business. How did you get into consulting? How did you get your first clients and build out your client list and be countrywide? Is it just you, or do you have employees, people that work with you? What's your business model? Things like that. Thanks again for taking the time. I look forward to more videos. So thanks. And I put this question in. I get questions like this on a fairly regular basis, and I put this one in because it's my 50,000 subscriber live stream, and I thought it was an appropriate time to answer some of these questions. So I did do a video. First and foremost, I did a video a while back called Tips for IT Consulting. You can go back and search through my my old videos. You can find that one. And in that video, that was probably about a year or a year and a half after I started the consulting business. And it basically was a lot of advice and tips and things that I had learned from my first sort of year and a half in as a consultant, full-time consultant. And yeah, but really, so check out that video first and foremost. But how did I get into consulting? I got into, so I was kind of almost forced into consulting. So I worked for a hosted voice over IP company, a hosted voice over IP provider, like it's kind of like Ring Central or something like that. This company's been bought out; they're no longer around. But I worked for them as the director of installations, and in my role of director of installations, I was responsible for the team of people based out of the United States and based out of the Philippines that would do the installations for about 250 or so some odd computers, or excuse me, phone systems per month. That's a lot of volume of phone system installs, by the way. So that involved basically overseeing all of the phone systems that were being installed. I personally handled some of the most important and the largest deals that were sold, and then I basically created the processes and the tools that all of my employees used to handle that amount of business. So you got to imagine there's ticketing that goes into it, there's process, there's how do you gather requirements from the customer, can you cookie cutter and design these things so that each installation is as cookie cutter as possible, but still tailored towards the individual client. Those were all my problems, right, when I was working as the director of installations. Now, that company, financially, even with that level of sales, that company was not doing very well. Their product sucked, frankly, and I knew it. You know, I knew it probably about two to 3 years of working there. I realized that the product was stagnant. It wasn't moving. The development had stalled. And I worked there for, I think, 7 years total. But it was only really innovative company for the first like 2 or 3 years that I worked there. Now, towards the end, they were losing almost as much business as they were gaining, right? I think the entire time that I worked there, they were only in the black, so they weren't actually losing money on a month-to-month basis. Maybe like a handful of months, maybe 6 months out of the 7 years that I worked there, that company actually made money. Now, that's not a good way to run a business, right? And case in point, they've now been bought out by a larger organization. So while I was there, they were really kind of tightening the belt and trying to figure out where they can cut costs. And so at some point, they decided, hey, you know what? This installation team that we've got here, we've got Chris working out of Oregon. We're paying him a lot of money. He's got installers in the United States that go around and install phone systems. We're paying them a lot of money. Maybe we can just shift the entire thing to our Philippines-based team, and then we can get rid of Chris and his whole team. So that's basically what they did. They canned me, they canned all of my U.S.-based employees, and they shifted the entire installations department to the Philippines. So how'd that work out for them? About a month and a half later, they moved everything back to the U.S. and they hired all new managers and stuff to manage installations. So it didn't work out very well for them that they did that, but I understand what they're doing. They're trying to save money, trying to cut down on their bottom line. Now, I knew that I was going to get laid off because there were signs probably about 2 to 3 months ahead of time where things started happening that you kind of were just like, that's a little weird. I wonder why that's happening, right? And so I knew probably about 6 to 8 weeks ahead of time that I was probably going to get let go. I at that time didn't know that it was my whole team. I thought they were maybe just going to let me go. But I kind of knew that it was coming. And so about a month before I was laid off, I started my consulting business. Okay, so I started it basically to say like, hey, listen, let me make this business official. I had already been doing some side work for clients just in my local area, businesses that I know or that I use that could use tech help. I was doing a little bit of side work already. And when they finally laid me off, I already had my business set up. At that time, it was called C. Sherwood Consulting, and then about a year later, I switched it to Crosstalk Solutions. Once I fired up the YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel started taking off. So that's how I got into consulting. I was sort of forced into it because I got laid off of my job. And I live out here in Oregon. You guys can see, I've shown you the view out the window many times. This is the woods, right? I'm out here in rural Oregon, right on the Oregon coast. And there aren't tech jobs out here. Where am I going? This way. This way. Yeah, there aren't tech jobs out here. So it's not like I could just hop into another director level IT position, out here on the coast. That just doesn't exist out here. So I had to do something. I certainly wasn't going to move, somewhere else. I guess I could have moved, but we didn't want to. And so I started, I cashed in what I could cash in, including my 401k. I cashed in my 401k just so that I had money to survive and try to stretch that money until the business started to take off. And so basically I was, deducting all of my expenses out of my savings for a long time. And then after 6 months or so, it started getting to the point where I was deducting less and less every month, and up to the point where now I started making money. So it took me about a year. It took me about a year from when I started consulting to where I was actually covering my family's expenses. And in that year, so I started the company in August of 2015. I think it was 2015 or 2016. Now, it must have been August of 2015. I was laid off in September 2015, and then probably about a year later is when I actually started making money being a full-time consultant. How did you get your first clients and build out your client list to be countrywide? So those are two really good questions. How did I get my first clients? My first clients came from just me scouring the local area. Right, so I would go around to businesses. Hey, do you need IT help? My name's Chris. Good to meet you. And so basically, a lot of clients that I had early on were just people in the local community, and I cast a very wide net of services. I was like, hey, I do networking, I do computers, I do websites, I do phone systems, I do surveillance systems, I do point of sale systems, I do video surveillance, whatever. Like I literally threw out the widest net that I possibly could, and I took a lot of work for free even just to sort of get in the door at these companies. You just have to do that. But it was basically just going door to door, and then probably in, I think it was like November or December of 2015, I started Crosstalk Solutions YouTube channel. Crosstalk Solutions, by the way, was a name that I had in my head for years. It was, I was going to be doing, I had an idea to start a company, you know, years prior to that, doing like custom telephony development. So basically like custom applications for people that have like, you know, big telephony needs. And so that was where that name came from. I had that in my head for a long, long time. And luckily the domain was available and that sort of stuff. So then after maybe 6 months or so, I started putting out YouTube videos, and eventually the YouTube thing started taking off. And so I stopped having to go door to door. I stopped having to do that level of you know, salesmanship, because I hate sales. I am not a good salesman. I hate going. It's very awkward for me to go, you know, try to sell myself, especially in person, and then walking in cold and doing that sort of stuff. I hate it. So yeah, so that's how I did that. And then the next question, is it just you, or do you have employees or people that you work with? So yes, it is not just me. I have subcontractors. These are people that I have been working with for a long time, people that I trust, people that I know. And basically when something comes into me, most cases I read what the customer has a need for. I do some initial work of like, hey, you know, discovery, like what's this going to cost? Here's the estimated cost. You know, this is how we can help you, blah, blah, blah. And then I pass that project off to one of the subcontractors. They make the lion's share of the money, and I take a percentage of that. And I have currently 7 subcontractors that work for me in different areas. Okay, what's your business model? I think that's kind of the business model. So anyways, Brian, great question. I hope that answered your question, and I hope you are at some point going to look at this this live stream, because I'm not going to answer this in a comment, but I will. I hopefully answered it enough for you right there. Okay, another super chat from Zach Carter. Zach, I hope you're not spending all of your money on me, my friend. $5. All right, Chris, I have a real question. What is that Edge Router X promo link for? Tried Amazon, tried Ubiquiti Direct. Where is that promo code for? Well, if you click on it in Reddit, that was for Newegg. So let's see if I can pull that up in my second monitor here. So Reddit has a subreddit called Build a PC Sales. I keep my eye on this from time to time. And one of the links that just came out was for this. Let me switch to this view. Make sure that worked. Yes. So Edge Router X. Edge Router X, $52.99 normally. If you guys follow me on Twitter, this morning I tweeted out a coupon code for this. This is not an affiliate link, by the way. This is just a really good deal that I saw. There was a link that has a coupon code for Newegg that knocks $13 off of this price, and I am Newegg Premier, so I get free shipping. So basically, it was $39.99 for the Edge Router X. And I gave mine away a long time ago, so I wanted to get a new one. I've been looking to get a new one, and $40 for this thing is a really, really super good deal. So if you guys are interested, go check out my Twitter. You can find this link and then get yourself your own Edge Router X for $40. I don't know, if, by the way, if that works outside the US or not, but anyways. All right, look at this. Crosstalk Solutions, 49,863. I've gained about 15... What was that, 15 subscribers since I started this live stream? Oh, and lost a couple also. Look at that. You can see it goes up and down. So yeah, still getting close. About 140 subscribers away. What's the deal with the new Edge Router 4? Have you tried it yet? I have not. I have not tried the Edge Router 4 yet. I'd like to get my hands on one, and I will be trying to do so in the near future. Let me flip back to this view here. All right, I think I had one more question. Oh, I take it back. I am going to flip to this view. Okay, so one more question. Thanks, Brian, for your excellent question. Another Brian Thompson. So this is another question that came from my Raspberry Pi surveillance monitor video. Can the camera audio be passed to the Raspberry Pi? And the answer to that, I was like, can it? Probably. And the answer, of course, is yes, it can. And I even set it up here. I've got a little, I don't know if you guys will be able to see this. So I've got here's my monitor. You can see I'm monitoring my front port, or my front driveway. Still, to this day, I've still got that up and running. I did a lot of fooling around, by the way. I'm going to do a follow-up video on this thing. I did a lot of fooling around with RTSP, and the results weren't great. So I'm gonna have to do a follow-up video on that. But I have this at WISPapalooza. This is one of the tchotchkes that Cambium Networks was giving away. This is a Cambium Networks little Bluetooth speaker. It's powered by USB, and it's got a regular 1/8" audio. So I plug the 1/8" audio into here, and then you can turn it on.
The external sound mode.
And I don't know if you can hear that, but that's outside right now. It's actually, it's not raining right now, but it was raining pretty good earlier. So if you guys can hear that in the microphone, that is the sound of this camera. So I'm going to turn that off. Whoop. No, off. I'm going to turn that off. So the answer to that question, I thought it was a great question because I didn't know, and I was like, hey, that's a really good question, really good idea. And yeah, it turns out it's absolutely possible to have an external speaker on the Raspberry Pi. So you can also monitor the audio of whatever camera you're looking at. Okay, Chris, do you have any experience? This is from David J. War Eagle. Chris, do you have any experience with the USG behind an AT&T Uverse router? So, not specifically the USG. I did have AT&T Uverse back when I lived in Los Angeles, and I think I had an edge router behind it, and so that worked. But here's the thing about AT&T Uverse: they don't really have a bridge mode, or at least they didn't when I had them, and so that makes it pretty difficult to work with. But they do have a what's called DMZ. I think it's called DMZ Plus mode, and that is the way that you want to run DMZ Plus mode off of the AT&T equipment, and that seems to work okay. But for a long time, especially when I was working for that last hosted VoIP company, AT&T Uverse was just horribly difficult to work with. They had double NAT problems with VoIP because they didn't have a great way to do bridge mode. They didn't have like a pass-through mode so that the WAN IP address lives on your equipment, right? So AT&T was really bad about that for a long time. I think they're better about it now, but yeah, anyways. Can you say what do you think about the Lightbeam M5 120 sector antenna? I mean, it's fine. I don't know. I've used the Lightbeam antenna. I like them. I've used the Lightbeam AC primarily, which I like that device quite a bit. It's a nice little small form factor point to multi-point antenna. So for smaller deployments, it's absolutely wonderful. It works on the AC range. But yeah, it's a really good antenna. I'm sure, I don't know if that's the one you're referring to or if there's a different Lightbeam M5, but anyways, yeah, it's a great antenna. I think, do I have one here? No, I don't. I have one of the big Ubiquiti sectors here. I have one of those, like the ones that you put like the rocket prism into. I have one of those here right now. In addition to the massive Cambium sector antenna that I have out here. SIP trunk companies, any suggestions? Yeah, I use Vitality. If you guys are interested in signing up with Vitality, I will give you my affiliate link. You can hit me up at info@crosstalksolutions.com. What is the Instagram account? I can't find you. Instagram? You mean Twitter. Twitter is @CrosstalkSol. I don't have Instagram. Twitter. There you go. Okay. Stuart asks, have you ever tried to configure Unify Video to store video to 2 disks? I set it up so every night video gets backed up to a second disk. It has slower disks. I can view all recording through UV still. Oh, that's interesting. No, I've never tried to set that up other than like doing a RAID 1 configuration, which, you know, spans across 2 disks, or RAID 10, which is more than that. But that's interesting. No, because I'm trying to think of how that would even work, because you there's some configuration file stuff you can do or something, but in Unify Video there's only one place to put your data path, and so I don't know how that would work as far as, I mean, I can imagine that you could take everything that's stored on that data path and then rsync it or synchronize it somehow to a different disk, but then how do you get Unify to view video feeds from both disks? That I don't know how to do. Okay. Jason Ramsey, welcome. He asks, are you planning to do anything with the new Unify XG AP? That's the name of it. I was trying to think of it earlier. Or the USG XG when it comes out. So, certainly. I mean, if I get my hands on those pieces of equipment, I will absolutely do videos on those devices. No problem. Most of the videos that I do on stuff is directly related to what I happen to have in my hands, right? So that's kind of just how it works. Let me know if the stream's working okay, guys. My my OBS keeps telling me that it's like laggy, but it seems like it's still working. What are the XG devices? The XG devices are the new USG. It's like a USG with a little tiny touch screen interface on the front of it. It's pretty cool. It's basically, I think it's like 8 SFP plus ports and 2 10 gig Ethernet ports or something. If you guys look at my, okay, so I did a video last October that's called like what's new at WISPapalooza, what's new with Ubiquiti or something like that. I showed the USG XG in that video. Go back to my video where I was at WISPapalooza shoving my camera in everyone's face, and that one you will see. Chris, I have checked on eBay and they're selling the Ubiquiti Edge Router X. Yeah, they sell the Ubiquiti Edge Router X on eBay, but you're not going to get it for 40 bucks. I've looked. You're not going to get the Edge Router X for 40 bucks on eBay. If you include shipping and everything, no chance. Okay, where am I? 500, 685, 865, 49,865 subscribers. Thank you, guys. Do you think Unify will update VoIP? That's a good question, and I don't really care to speculate on that. I imagine, I don't know what Ubiquiti has in place for a VoIP team. I imagine if they put a solid VoIP team in place, we'll see some really good improvements. But it seems like that project has stalled. I haven't heard about anything new coming out of the Unify VoIP project in quite some time. I could be wrong because I don't follow it specifically. Oh, I lost a subscriber. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, so Nicholas writes, I set up my Ubuntu server with LVM, so then I can have multiple hard drives, but just one directly for Unify to save into for Unify Video. Okay, cool. Cool, yeah, let me know how that works. Juan Campo, welcome. He writes, do you know if it's possible to connect directly to a FTTH line to a USG Pro or Edge Router X? What's FTTH? I don't know what that acronym is. I lost 2 subscribers. I'm gonna get off this window. It's just gonna bug me. Okay, FTTH, fiber to the home. Is that what FTTH stands for? Fiber to the home line? All right, Matt, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. My screen did freeze and it's lagging a bit. Okay, well, sorry if there's any screen lag, guys. I don't know. Yeah, fiber to the home. Okay, so to connect a fiber to the... So when you have a fiber to the home link, they're typically going to give you an Ethernet handoff. It's very rare that a home user is going to get a fiber handoff because most home users don't have fiber, right? They don't have fiber devices. They don't have SFPs that they can use. So I don't know if there's a way to connect it directly to a USG Pro or Edge Router X. I think that's going to, I mean, you could, if you got a fiber handoff, I think you would have to talk to the ISP and see how they can deliver that handoff to you. If not, do you have the option of doing either Ethernet or, fiber? And if you can choose fiber, then I'm sure it would work. Eric says, hey, thanks for what you've posted. I've learned a lot. Yep, no problem. Judd writes, I started my consulting business in a more rural area of Texas. I've learned a lot from your videos. Appreciate your willingness to help others. Thanks, Judd. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you watching. Thank you for being a subscriber. Okay, let's see. Do I have anything else that I can do? You know what I was going to do, maybe, is let me go over to the good old PC part picker. And while I'm over here, I wanted to see what it's actually going to cost to get my Corsair Bulldog updated with the equipment that I want. Gabe, thanks for joining, man. I appreciate you. Okay, so let's see. View your system build. How do I do a new build? What's the latest one I did here? What is this? Oh, this is when I was trying to build out a mining machine, a GPU mining machine. This was for my Antminer video. I did this. It looks like they took all the pricing and stuff off, so none of the. It looks so cheap. This is the base cost of a mining machine, and then you add the video cards in, which is like 6 video cards times like $500 or $600. So the price goes up very dramatically from here. All right, so let's close this one out. Let's do a new one. I don't need to save this one. How do I do a new... Oh, start a new parts list. Here we go. Okay, so CPU for my Bulldog, I absolutely want to go with... Oh, sorry guys, I'm talking about something that's not on the screen here. Alright, so for... I want to do the Intel Core i7. 7th generation... Oh, see, here's the... Oh, LGA 1151. See here, this says Intel Core i7 8700K, and the socket doesn't say it's LGA 1151 version 3, it just says 1151. So it's so hard to tell. I have not been able to figure out if the 8th generation Intel CPUs are compatible with the standard LGA 1151, like the non-version 3 socket. Anyways, that chip's too expensive anyways. So this is the chip that I'm looking at here, the Intel Core i7 7700. This is $324 retail, but I've seen this go on sale twice in the last week for $280. Matt says, I had to go out for a service call, but I left the stream playing for my dog, Toby. Hey, Toby. Toby, who's a good boy? Toby, who's a good boy? Sorry, that would drive my dogs crazy. Okay, so let's see here. CPU cooler, it comes with a liquid CPU cooler, so I don't need that. Motherboard, it comes with a motherboard, so I don't need that. The Intel i7, what? The motherboard that it uses, I think it does DDR4. Like, I want DDR4 at, like, I don't know, it probably doesn't need to be super fast, but I do want 32 gigs of RAM. So let's see what we got here. Any brand, any color, I don't care about that. I only want DDR4. So let's look at DDR4. I probably don't need to go above 3000. So let me look at this range of... Actually, I think 2666 is the Z270's minimum. So let's look at DDR4 2666 up to 3000. All right, so let's see. Yes, I'm posting this stream to my channel, Zach. It'll be anytime you do a live stream on YouTube, it posts to the channel automatically afterwards. Okay, so there's that, and we want 32 gigs. So where can I do gigs? Let's see. Here we go. Show all 32 gigs, and it can be any combination because there's 4 DIMM slots in there. 1 by 32 is going to be expensive. All right, so let's see here. 32 gigs. So we're looking at about, yeah, I figured it was about this much. Let's sort by price. So the G-Skill Ripjaws V series is $349, and that's a 4 by 8 gig kit. And is that DDR? Oh, that's DDR4 3000. Oh, thanks, Heinrich. Congratulations from Russia. Happy New Year. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. For the 8th gen CPU retro compatibility, Google it. You will certainly find an answer. So that's funny because I Googled it. I did Google it, and I didn't find the answer. I'm sure if I spent enough time trying to figure it out, I would be able to figure it out. But I spent maybe 10 minutes trying to figure that out, and I wasn't able to figure it out. All right, so we're going to add this to the kit. Oh, God, this is going to get expensive quick. And then for storage, I have a spare NVMe that I can use. but I do want a separate drive. I just got a really good deal on a Toshiba drive. It was a Toshiba 4 terabyte 7200 RPM drive with 256, is it K? Megs or K? It had 256K of cache. Maybe it's 256 megs of cache. I forget what that is. Oh yeah, it must be megabytes. So for this, I want something like a Western Digital Black 4 terabyte or something. I think that would be enough space for virtual machines. And let's see, capacity. I want 4 terabyte. So where's the Western Digital Black? There it is. The reason that I would want the Western Digital Black is because, well, see, this is only 64 megs of cache. That can't be right. Western Digital Black is, I thought it was 128 megs of cache. Am I thinking of a different one? Western Digital Gold is 128 megs of cache. That can't be right. Wait a minute. Let's see. Western Digital Black 4 terabyte. I thought the Western Digital Black was 128 mega cache. Stupid site. All right, here we go. Yeah, 4 terabyte. This is probably the drive that I want. So I have a good boot drive, but I want this as the storage drive for the Zen virtual servers. Hopefully 4 terabytes enough. I don't think I'm going to run out of space for virtual servers with 4 terabytes. I mean, I don't know how many I'm going to put in there, but this is the drive that I want. So that says $184.99. Caviar Black. Oh, this must be it right here. Western Digital Caviar Black. That's it. All right, let me add that then. So I have everything else. I don't need a video card. I'll just use the onboard video of the motherboard. Case I've got. Power supply I've got. OS is taken care of. And I don't need anything else. So that's really not that bad. $856.93. And actually less than that because I'll probably get the chip at about 280 bucks. Yeah, the Western Digital Reds would be my next choice, but the Western Digital Reds are more for like NAS drives. Aren't the Western Digital Reds 5400 RPM too? This drive, I believe, is 7200 RPM. Yeah, 7200 RPM. I think the Reds are 5400 RPM, but they're made for network attached storage. Yeah, see the Reds are 5400 RPM. So I wanted a little bit faster hard drive since it's going to be spinning up operating systems and stuff, right? And multiple operating systems. So I want to go for the black because then it's also got the 128 mega cache. Though I did just recently buy, let me see if I can, I think I've got it. I don't want to show you guys my buy history. I'm going to move this over here for 1 second. I just bought, did I get it from here? No, I must have got it from Newegg. The Red Pro is 7200. Hey, what's happening? Beard Bites, how's it going, my friend? Okay, so where's my, I'm looking at my, sorry guys, this is off the side of the screen because I don't need to show my order history on YouTube. But I recently bought, was it here? Yeah, here it is. So for $75, $74.99, this was an amazing deal. I just bought this. Whoop, whoop, there. So this is a drive that I just replaced in my own, as the data drive in my own server here, and this was 4 terabyte Seagate Barracuda, 256 megs of cache on this drive. Now the Seagate drives I don't trust as much as I trust the Western Digital drives, but I got this on sale, so it's normally priced at $98.88. I got this drive on sale for $74. So that deal made it worth it to me. And so this is the new drive that I just put in my own computer here. I think this one is 7200 RPM. Is it? How come it doesn't say? Yeah, it doesn't say. Anyone? Oh, here, specs. How come it doesn't say the speed of the drive anywhere? It says the interface. Am I missing something, guys? What am I missing? Huh. That's weird. Well, I think it's 7,200 RPM. Anyways, yeah, this is a pretty... So far, so good on this one. It's been working out okay for me. It's really thin, too. See if they have a side profile. Yeah, you can't really tell. But it's a really, like, super thin drive. Anyways, let's go back to my system builder. So that's what I think I'm going to do here. What do you guys think? I wish they had black. I'll probably get black RAM for the inside of that case. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have a window or anything, so it doesn't matter. But what do you guys think on this build? So if I do this equipment and build out that Bulldog as a Zen server, it will give me the ability to fire up virtual machines and do a lot more videos on a lot more different projects and stuff. Why not using Western Digital Purple Drive for recording video? I always use Western Digital Purple when I'm doing video builds. Always. This isn't for video. This is for a Zen server, so virtual machines, not video. But yeah, good call on the Western Digital Purple for video. That's always what I use. Okay, let's look at my Pi-hole again. All right, we're at, oh, look it, my percent went down of ads blocked just since we've been looking at it. And let's look at the, oh, look at that. We've gone up 49,869 subscribers. I was going to do a live stream for when I actually was like 10 away from 50,000, but I realized that that was probably going to be, I realized I was probably going to be in the middle of the night on Saturday night, so I opted not to do that, and I did this live stream anyways. We're coming towards the end, though, guys. I think I'm going to call it quits in about 25 minutes. My voice is acting a little scratchy, so I want to sort of save it. And I wonder if they have the Bulldog in here. Bulldog. Nope, they don't. Corsair. I do love Corsair cases. They don't have the Bulldog listed in here. Any idea why 16-port PoE switches are hard to find? I didn't know that that was the case. I haven't really searched for any 16-port PoE switches anytime recently, so I can't tell you for sure, but yeah, I would think that they're available. Let's look at, we're here at Newegg. Let's look at here. 16-port PoE. I mean, are you talking about specifically Ubiquiti 16-port PoE switches? Does Ubiquiti make a 16-port PoE switch? Do they? I'm not even sure that they do. 16-port Unify switch. Do they make one? 16-port Unify switch. Oh yeah, they do. Oh no, that's a 24. Oh, there it is. 150 watt 16-port switch. Well, let's see. What time is it for me? It's 2:38 p.m. UK is 8 hours ahead of me. I've only been to London once, or been to the UK once, and spent some time in London. I would love to go back again someday. Oh, that does not like that. Oh, that might be because of the Pi-hole. Ad services. It said something about ad services. Here we go. Let's just click this link. All right, so there you go. There's the 16-port Unify switch, US 16 150 watt. Let's copy that. Let's go to here. Do we have it at Newegg? Out of stock. Oh, and here's the Edge Switch 16 too. All right, so out of stock at Newegg. The other place that I would check is BH Photo, because they tend to have the Unify stuff, and they usually tend to have good pricing. Back ordered. Yeah, look at that. You know, again, it's one of those things with Ubiquiti. You know, they come out with switches. I don't know when this came out or how new it is, but they do have limited stock on newer equipment. You know, so this is one of those things where they probably just don't have the stock. It's a nice little switch, though. 150 watt maximum power consumption. Yeah, that looks like it. It would be nice. Oh, does it have SFPs? Oh, it has 2 SFPs too. Oh, that's nice. I mean, honestly, I would probably just go for the 24. If you can't get your hands on this one, just go for the 24. US-24-250 watt. It's an extra $100, but you know, if you need it, just get the 24 port. All right, you should come back over to the UK even if it's just for a day. Well, that's easier said than done. It's a 12-hour. Let's see, it's a 12-hour flight. It's a 12-hour flight to the UK from Los Angeles, and I'm out of Portland, so I don't know if there's direct flights from Portland, but yeah, it's a long flight. By the time you go out there for a day and fly back, it's probably not worth it. Chris, do you know of any 48-port unmanaged PoE switches? 48-port unmanaged. I don't know of any offhand. That's not to say that they don't exist. Oh yeah, you're right. The 24-port is backordered too. You can stop by in Iceland on the way to the UK. Iceland looks nice. I've been watching this frickin' crazy show on Netflix called Sense8. Have you guys seen that show? But part of Sense8 takes place in Iceland, and that show is bonkers crazy, man. Anyways. Chris, why not build a server with 10 terabyte hard drive? Why not? Yeah, why not? Just funds, man. I don't. First of all, for the Zen server that I'm doing, imagine that you're creating a bunch of virtual machines on a Zen server. I think 4 terabytes is plenty. I'm not going to be. If I wanted to build a NAS where I'm doing backups, I would build a server with bigger storage. But that's not what I'm building. I'm not using this for backups. I'm using this strictly for virtual machines, right? So even if I give 100 gigs to each virtual machine, which is usually going to be plenty. I mean, you know, all of the virtual machines I do on DigitalOcean and stuff are all like 20, 30 gig drives. So if I'm giving 20, 30, 40, 50 gigs here and there to the virtual machines, I can get a lot of virtual machines in that thing before I use up 4 terabytes. So, I mean, that's why I don't see a need to go to 10 terabytes. And if I run out of space on it at some point, I would probably just replace the drive with a bigger drive at that point, once I realize that I'm getting there. Yeah, so yeah, Alfie's right. Money doesn't grow on trees. So if I had unlimited funds, I would also have done my NAS by now. You guys, I don't know if you remember, I did a series of videos where I was planning out the NAS that I was going to build. It came to the point where it was going to cost about $2,000 to build the one that I wanted to build. And I just don't have an extra $2,000 lying around. You know, if stuff comes up, you got to buy this, you got to buy that. And I have not had extra $2,000. I just was told today that I probably, in the very near future, have to replace the roof on my house. Okay, so that's a big expense. So I don't have money to be throwing around on $2,000 NAS machines. Let's see. Chris, what's your favorite IP phone? Probably the Sangoma S705. It's one I've got on my desk here. I also like the Yelinks. The Yelinks are nice too. Chris, you use Plex. I do use Plex. Not a lot, but I do have some stuff for my kids on there and whatnot. But I don't use it too much. I also share my music through Plex. That works really well. All right, so guys, I'm going to be wrapping this up. I want to once again remind everyone that Super Chats are enabled for this session. Zach, we don't need any more from you, man. You did enough Super Chats. And any Super Chat that you guys give me, I'm going to be matching and then donating to the Pi-hole project you can see on my screen here. If you guys aren't familiar with Pi-hole, go check them out. They're really a great... I missed a $10 Super Chat? I did? Hang on. Oh, thanks. Thanks for the reminder. 10 pounds from Ross Harrison. Nanobeam AC Generation 2, point-to-point behind 2 sets of double glazed glass. I don't know if you guys see that. I just had some spit come out of my mouth when I said that. Signal strength drops off. Any hints or tips to improve the link? The distance of the link is only about 100 meters. Honestly, it's probably the glass. That's the problem. I mean, can you get the... So the Nanobeam AC Gen 2, which I have one Oh, I already put it away. Those are weather resistant. If you can get it outside on the other side of that glass, even on just one side, you're probably going to have a lot better luck. The double glazed glass or the double pane windows, I've got those here too. And I don't know how it works exactly, but they've got some sort of layer of gas or liquid or something, or film or something in between the two layers of glass that, that can definitely affect wireless performance. And yeah, so I would take a look at that. If you go to, for instance, Ubiquiti's planning tool, hang on a second, I'll see if I'll pull up, I'm going to pull up my Unify controller, I'll show you guys this. Hopefully it's already logged in, I don't have to, oh good, it's already logged in. Okay, so, okay, so check this out. Here's my house, right, this is my stuff. If we go to map, okay, here's my house. And you can see the coverage of this device. It even moves around as I move it around. Now, if we come over here separately, we don't need the scale. Let's get rid of this. And let's add, so they've got two options here. They've got glass and they've got double pane coated glass. Right? So now if you take this glass, let's just draw a little box here. 1, 2, and then let's take double pane glass and let's finish off the box. 1, oops, oh man, 2, whatever, close enough. All right, now if I take my access point and I drag it over into here, let's see what it does. Oh, nothing. So apparently it doesn't care. But you can see, oh, that's funny. I thought that would work. I thought that would actually do something, and it didn't. So normally, like they put these two different types of glass in here for a reason, because wireless behaves differently through these types of glass. They also have bulletproof glass, by the way. But wireless talks about, you know, they have different materials in here, you know, double pane glass being one of them, because it makes a difference in a deployment. So anyways, I guess that's the point I was trying to make. Unfortunately, the actual drawing didn't work out so well. Can I delete this now? How do I delete these? Oh man, it's not going to let me. All right, well now I've got a little glass greenhouse outside of my kitchen window here. So, all right, okay, so let's see. I'm going to close this out now. Okay, $5 super chat. Zach, what are you doing, man? Enough with the $5 super chats. Not my credit card, my friends. Shit. Well, then I don't know why you're sticking to just such small amounts then, my friend. All right, good night, Chris. Talk soon. Go buy a beer with the $5. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I will most likely have a beer tonight. Thank you so much. I'll write that one down again. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and total up what we are going to donate to the Pi-hole project. 10, 15, 25, 30, 40, 45. All right, $55. Beard, oh my gosh, there we go. Mr. Beard Bites, $50. Thank you very much. Right as I was about to say. So 55 and another 50. Well, thank you so much for that. That's $105 for the Pi-hole project. I will double that. And yeah, thank you guys so much for all of your support of Crosstalk Solutions. Certainly thank you for your support of projects such as the Pi-hole project. And yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to stick around for 10 more minutes. Oh my gosh. There we go. Ross, now you're breaking my bank. Look at that. 100 pounds. You know, I changed my mind. I'm not going to donate any of this. No, I'm just kidding, of course. All right, there we go. Thank you guys so much. 100 pounds from Ross Harrison. Ross, if you have a question you want to ask, now's the time. And I will make sure that that gets answered. Or certainly you can hit me offline, too. Hit me up offline, and I will be glad to talk to you for your $100 donation. Thank you so much. Hope you get the conversion correct. Yeah, I know. I think the US dollar is probably a lot less than the British pound at this point. Let's see. 100 pounds to dollars. Yeah, $138. Look at that. So that's a very significant donation. Thank you so much for that, Ross. Much appreciated. All right. How much is that in Bitcoin? That's what I want to know. 100 pounds to Bitcoin. It's 0.01217 Bitcoin. Gotta love it. Bitcoin's been taking a dump lately. This week has been rough for this week has been rough for anyone who's into cryptocurrency. Pi-hole guys are awesome. I don't know any of the Pi-hole guys. Are there Pi-hole guys? I guess there are. Let's see. Let's look at this link. Do we have any information about these guys? There's a PayPal. This goes to a PayPal link. Donate to Pi-hole. Other amount. Yeah, so I'll do that later. Who's the team? Do they show the team? Let me go to their webpage. Pi-hole. PUBG tonight? Oh, interesting, Brandon. Maybe. PUBG has a new map out that I haven't played on yet, and they got a lot of new features and stuff. Maybe. Hey, Brandon, I'll give that a solid maybe, man. If I can swing it, I'll try to do it. So who's the Pi-hole team? Do we know? Are they in here anywhere? Donate. Affiliate links. Yeah, they don't really have like a meet the team email or anything. They're all over the subreddit helping people. Oh, that's nice. Is there? I don't even follow the Pi-hole subreddit. I should do that. I should get on there. Very cool. Hi again, MiYoYo1372. Hi again. Sale question. As a few months ago, what was the last thing that completely blew your mind? Oh, you mean same question? What blew my mind? Outside of politics, I guess. What was the last thing that blew my mind? I don't know. That's a good question. Probably, I mean, the first thing that comes up, I just mentioned it a few minutes ago, but I've been watching that show Sense8. It's done by the Wachowskis, you know, the people that did The Matrix. And it's got, like, it's a really good science fiction show with a lot of, like, sex. There's just, I mean, it's just so much, like, it's very graphic in both violence and sex, and it's I'm kind of surprised that they aired it. Honestly, it's like that much. But anyways, yeah, that's probably the last thing that blew my mind was that show Sense8. And it's not even that it's such a spectacular show. It's just like what they kind of were able to pull off and kind of what they got away with when they made that show. But yeah, it's certainly not something that would ever be on like network television. That's for sure. All right, see. All right, so D. Greg, Control F about us. I'm not going to fall for any Control F. Wait, let's see. It's not even a link. Never mind. I'm not sure what that means. Let's see. Last time I used the Ubiquiti MVR software, it seems like the timeline feature wasn't ready for prime time. Has that changed? That's a really good observation, Steve. The timeline feature is still in beta. I believe they still have it marked in beta, and it's probably like that for a reason. Because I don't know. I don't know. I haven't had great experience with it either. Let's put it that way. It works sometimes, and I find that more often than not, you can play through a little bit of the timeline, and then it sort of like stops. It's supposed to jump to the next segment, and it sort of stops. It doesn't work. So, all right. So let's see. What's the funniest thing you have come across during an install? What's the funniest thing I've come across during an install? I don't know about funniest thing, but I did have an install. This is going back to when I worked. I was a manager at that voice over IP company. We had an on-site installation. We were installing a phone system, and my installer was out there over a weekend, and he calls me like Saturday morning, and it was in, where was it? It was where Wayne's World is. Is that Peoria, Illinois? Is that where Wayne's World was from? Anyways, so it was out in Illinois somewhere, and my installer calls me at like 8 or 9 a.m. my time on a Saturday, which is never a good thing, by the way. If you're, wait, hang on a second. Let me get my OBS so I can switch to a different. There we go. If you are, what's the word? Aurora, Illinois. Thank you, Brad and Jeffrey. So they were out in Aurora, Illinois, and he called. You know, when my installer calls me on the weekend, first thing in the morning, I'm like, oh crap, this is not going to be good. So he calls me up, and he was so frustrated. He's talking to me. He's like, I don't understand. This is not working. This stuff's not working. These guys are swearing to me that their network's solid, and it's not working. It's not working. It's not working. So I sort of did a screen share, and I popped in, and I tried to figure it out. And what these guys did, they literally had an IT guy. They had a full-time IT guy. This isn't like an SMB operation that hired outside IT help or something. They actually had an IT guy working for this organization. They had two completely separate Class C networks running on the same wires. And each one had its own DHCP server. And after I figured that out, I was like trying to figure out what was going wrong and why everything wasn't working. And once I figured out what was going on, I was like, how is anything working on this network? Like, this is unbelievable. Literally, 2 gateways, 2 DHCP servers, and 2 Class C networks on the same wires, on the same ports, through the same switches and everything. Not VLAN, just on the same equipment. And so that was probably the funniest thing. I don't know if it's funny so much as it's just sad. But then I got in an argument with their IT guy because I was explaining to him, and by the way, for those maybe who aren't as familiar with networking or IT, that's like networking 101. You don't do that, right? You don't put multiple DHCP servers on a network. You certainly don't put 2 networks on the same wires. I was trying to explain this to him for over an hour, trying to explain why what he's doing is not a good idea. And I'm not sure, even after I ended that conversation, that the IT guy fully got it. And I've run into that situation more often than I care to admit, where you end up talking to someone. I'm not considering myself a god of IT or anything, but I can spot a bad IT guy when I know how to spot a bad IT guy. And so yeah, they were no good. I also had a client of mine recently who had all sorts of weird broadcasts going on with his network that was basically blowing up the whole network. And it's because he put in one of those Samsung smart refrigerators, and the smart refrigerator had a DHCP server running on it that was screwing up his whole network. So like, you know, the refrigerator was like assigned like a 192.168.1, and his network was something else. And so there was like 192.168.1 IP addresses being passed out to his clients on the network, which was also pretty funny because he figured out that the refrigerator was the culprit that was causing all the problems on the network. So, and yes, I agree with you. That type of IT guy does give us all bad reputations. But, you know, listen, you do the best you can. Everyone has to learn. Everyone, you know, there was a point in time where I did not know that you couldn't have two DHCP servers on a network. There was a point in time where I didn't know what a DHCP server was, right? So everything's a learning experience. You got to learn things, and that's about it. Why does a fridge need a DHCP server? That's a really great question. I haven't the slightest idea, but that was the problem, and he got a good laugh out of that one too. All right, guys, it is 2:58 p.m. my time. I am going to call it quits. Again, thank you everyone so much for your donations to the Pi-hole project. Thank you all so much for being subscribers of Crosstalk Solutions. 2018 and beyond is going to be a good year. I'm going to be looking to put out more content, more quality content, and just working my ass off for you guys to make the best channel that I possibly can. And so thank you very much, and thank you for all being subscribers. All right, so that's about it. Yeah, get prepared for the 50K after party. It's going to be me by myself finishing work for another hour, and then that's about it. So, all right, guys, thanks so much. Again, my name is Chris of Crosstalk Solutions. If you like this live stream, if you're watching it after the fact, please give me a thumbs up. If you guys would like to see more live streams like this, including the one that we are most likely doing with Willie Howe on February 9th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Then subscribe to the channel. And thank you guys so much for your donations. And everyone have a wonderful weekend, and we will talk to y'all